Hey everyone, it's Olivia McLean with RE/MAX, here to talk about a few ways to elevate your offer in a multiple offer situation, which you may or may not be aware of, but it's a very common occurrence across the nation to be in a multiple offer situation. So the first 3 tips, now this is tip 1, is going to talk more about contingencies rather than the actual price point of your offer. So the first contingency we're going to talk about is your inspection contingency. One thing that would entice a seller to pick your offer over another buyer's would be to go ahead and waive your inspection contingency. Now, this is not something that I, as a realtor, always recommend for my buyers. However, the inspection is not something that is required by your lender unless you are getting a loan such as a VA loan, and then you would be required to get a WDO inspection. Number 2, and the second contingency we're going to talk about, that is waiving your appraisal contingency. This is something that is already common practice with a lot of multiple offer situations because we are seeing a lot of buyers offering over asking price, and this is something that sellers are requiring them to do. So what an appraisal contingency is, it's set forth in the contract that protects buyers who are getting a loan if the property underappraises. At that point, you can negotiate with the seller to come down to the price or walk away and retain your escrow deposit. Waiving that contingency is then going to tell the seller that you are prepared to come to closing with the cash needed to offset whatever the appraised value is to the purchase price that you've agreed upon. For example, if you are under contract for $400,000, but the home appraises at $380,000, you are then agreeing to bring the difference to closing. Or if you do not have the cash on hand to completely bring that difference, you agree to cancel the contract and forfeit your escrow, which we'll talk about in a couple tips. So piggybacking off the last 2 tips we made when we referred to the escrow money deposit. In a lot of these situations, you do run the risk of forfeiting your escrow money deposit. So one way of letting the seller know that you are serious and you want this home and you're willing to go above and beyond versus other buyers is beefing up your escrow money deposit. Now, in a traditional purchase contract, there is no set amount that the escrow money has to be. In traditional, a year ago, 2 years ago or so, I usually always tell buyers about 1% or more of the purchase price is what I would recommend for an escrow. For example, if you're buying a $300,000 home, it would be a good idea to put about $3,000 down. However, in this market, it is wise to put as much as you can. Keep in mind, if you make it to the finish line and you close, that escrow money deposit that you make is going to go towards your down payment or closing costs anyways, so it's not going to be money out of your pocket. So for example, if you are competing with other buyers and you think maybe your purchase price or something isn't as competitive as you would like it to be, maybe offer $10,000 towards the escrow money deposit. Again, keep in mind, if you do choose to waive those other contingencies that we spoke about, that could put your escrow money at risk to going back to the sellers. Okay, so another tip that may benefit some sellers and may work for you is to completely defer the timeline to the sellers. Some sellers may need a longer closing opposed to a shorter closing. This is something that you could work with in your benefit if you have the ability to do so. Some sellers even need what's called a post-occupancy or a leaseback. If that's something that you're willing to do or allow them extra time to get out of the home after closing, that could set you apart from other buyers as well. Very final tip, and I saved this one for last because I do know that it may not be possible for every buyer. That's why we talked about those other ones that are a little bit more flexible, would be to use an escalation clause to ensure your offer is the highest offer. So what an escalation clause is it allows you as the buyer to still negotiate some with the seller when in a highest and best offer situation. So say your home is $300,000 and you know that you're prepared to go up to $360,000 to get this home. You love this home, you want it. However, you're not sure what the other offers are because the listing agent isn't going to tell the buyer's agent what their highest offer is because it takes away their negotiation power. So what then you do as a buyer is you take this escalation clause and you submit it with your offer of, let's say, $325, and within the escalation clause, you say you're willing to go $5,000 above any offer higher than yours up to $360,000. Some sellers don't like escalation clauses and will state that they're not willing to accept those. That's something that your realtor can converse with the seller's realtor and sort of see if that's an option. It's definitely a great option if you have the option to do so. Just keep in mind that when you are doing escalation clauses, and if you still have your appraisal contingency, the home does have to appraise for whatever price you are offering. So I hope those tips helped and gave you a better idea of how to navigate the housing market and how to elevate your offer when you find yourself in a highest and best offer situation, which, like we mentioned, is very common, not just for our area, but it is happening all over the nation. So if you're looking to buy a home in the Hernando County or surrounding areas, I would be more than happy to help. If you're looking for somewhere outside of my service area or outside of Florida even, I'd be happy to connect you with a local and knowledgeable agent to that area. Thank you.